Hey everyone, welcome to the blockchain and cryptocurrency course. In this video tutorial, we will be learning about centralized and decentralized architecture, in which we will cover centralized architecture, decentralized architecture, pros and cons of centralized and decentralized architecture, and use cases of both architecture. There are two types of organizing data or system, centralized and decentralized. Let's see first centralized architecture. A centralized architecture implies that the availability of a single or a few entities that have a control over the entire network. Let's understand with the example of bank. When you deposit money into your bank account, there is an entry of deposit into bank's data system. This system are controlled by bank, so only bank can make change into it. All the data are stored at one place, or all the data can be accessed by a single or a few organization or entities. Problem with this design is if the server or data system fails, then all the data will be inaccessible. If some hacker hacks into the bank system, then all the data can be affected as it is a central, so all the user will also get affected. I want you to think about some of the system that you use every day, whether it's a Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or your bank account, or practically anything else you use. These are all controlled by a centralized authority. This means that for the data transaction to be verified, a third-party intermediary must do this on your behalf. Let me explain this further by using the example of Yahoo. Imagine that you want to send your friend a private email containing some funny picture from party. You sign into your Yahoo account, type an email, upload the pictures and then send it to your friend. At this moment in a time, think about what information Yahoo has on you. When you first registered an account with Yahoo, you had to provide your personal information, such as your full name, nationality, and date of birth. After that, every single email that you send is stored internally on the Yahoo's centralized server. This means that you must trust that Yahoo will keep all of your data private. Furthermore, you also need to trust that they won't use this data for their own benefit, such as selling it to advertising companies, which, as we now know, can often be the case. In 2015, Yahoo experienced one of the biggest hacks of all time. A group of hackers was able to gain access to their centralized server, allowing them to view private emails within the million of accounts. The reason they were able to gain access to all of this information was because Yahoo uses centralized servers. If the central point of the failure is hacked, then the entire network is at risk. Decentralized architecture. First thing first, decentralized systems are not controlled by a single entity or system. It's a distributed system, so data storing and processing is done at different nodes. In centralized system, there is a single node, system or machine, but in decentralized system, there are multiple nodes or systems which are controlled by different systems. Again, let's take example of bank. If Bob wants to transfer money to John, in centralized system, central node validates the transaction and money is transferred to John. All the transactions are validated by a single entity. But in decentralized system, suppose there are 3 nodes involved and one person wants to do transaction. In this case, Bob makes a request to transfer X amount. Transaction details are submitted into ledger on each node. There might be some algorithm to replicate same transaction details over the network and nodes. Unlike centralized system, here all nodes will verify transaction. If we get minimum transaction validation confirmation, then and then X amount is transferred. Number of minimum confirmation may vary from network to network. All the participants in network takes part in transaction validation. So decentralized network is more secure. No single organization or entity controls network. So this is how decentralized networks works. Now let's see pros and cons of centralized network. Centralized network doesn't need third party to validate transaction. So the transaction processing in centralized system is very fast. It is easy to secure and service the server and client nodes by virtue of their location. As it is one big system, it is always easy to set up, maintain and update. You only need to update single point. Likewise, it is also easy to scale. You can add more and more resource to scale, or you can use horizontal scaling techniques. It is easy to detect fault and prevent it from happening because of the single system. When you are using centralized system, you have to trust that the centralized organization are going to keep your data safe, as we have seen in previous example. They have full control over the system and your data. All data are stored on main servers. So if the main server are compromised, data is at risk. There are single point of failure. So if main server fails and there is no backup server, system becomes inaccessible. So these are some pros and cons of centralized network. Now let's have a look at pros and cons of decentralized network. In decentralized network, no third party can access your information. So your information is yours if encryption is implemented. No third party can access your data. Quick and cheaper transaction, as global network of node is connected with each other, they can communicate with each other. As there are multiple nodes serving, if one node fails, other can take over. So decentralized network are highly available. The entire load gets balanced on all the nodes, leading to minimal to no bottleneck situation in this type of network. No single point of failure. Decentralized network also have some disadvantages. Like running decentralized network and keep it in sync is quite difficult. To maintain consistency, each node must be in sync. If network connection between node fails, then data across network will be inconsistent. In this network, it is difficult to know which node failed. Need to check each node by providing some input and checking if node is generating same errors. Node is independent, so they can act independently. There is no chain of command in these kind of networks. If you want to roll out update in decentralized network, all node must update, else network inconsistency will arise. So these are some pros and cons of decentralized network. Let's move forward and see some real life application of centralized and decentralized networks. Application development. Very easy to set up a central server and send client request. Modern technology these days do come with default test servers, which can be launched with couple of commands. For example, Express server, Django server. Data analysis with centralized network is quite easy. It is easy to do data analysis when all the data is in one place and available for analysis. Centralized network can also be used for personalized computing. Now let's see some application of decentralized network. Blockchain, about which we will be learning throughout this course. Decentralized databases. Entire database split into parts and distributed to different nodes for storage and use. For example, records with name starting from A to K in one node, L to N in second node, and O to Z in third node. So this is how you can partition your database in decentralized manner. Third application is cryptocurrency. We'll be learning more about cryptocurrency in further tutorials. Let's quickly revise what we have seen in this tutorial. We have learned centralized architecture, decentralized architecture and how it works. Pros and cons of decentralized and centralized architecture and some of the use cases of both architecture. So this is all about centralized and decentralized architecture. Thank you very much.